Well, today we're gonna be doing big board top 30. We're gonna start with number one, and number one is not what the consensus is. I've had this guy number one for a very long time. Number one, Jabari Smith Jr., freshman from Auburn, 6'10" power forward. Now, let's start talking about this guy. First things first, you gotta imagine with me a slender frame. He's kind of built like, I guess you could say Kevin Garnett's a similar frame to him, where he's like lean, ripped. You know what I mean? He's one of those kind of guys, frame wise. First things first, physicality. His gifts physically, he's very good vertical athlete. Very good. He probably has some pretty good highlights out there of him dunking on some people. He's really good at finishing around the rim, and he's really good at quickness and lateral movement. And that lateral movement translates to a phenomenal defender. Now this is a guy that can be all defense. This is a very special defensive guy because he's going to be able to switch. Because his hips are so fluid, his feet are so quick, his lateral movement is impressive. And something that I really look for in a defender, intensity. Do you put in a lot of effort? This guy plays every second of basketball like he loves this sport and it matters everything to him. And I love that about a guy. Because that shows me he's probably the type of guy that's a worker. He's the type of guy that's going to put in the effort. And when you have gifts like this guy, if he's a worker, this is where people can become special. And so I love that about him. He's an intense player defensively. So, it's hard to find players that do that in the draft. Usually younger guys don't really put in that effort. One person I can talk about from last year, Jonathan Kuminga, who was higher on our board, didn't put a ton of effort in the G League defensively. But he gets to the Warriors, and they're professionals, and they make him play defense, right? But it's rare for somebody to do this coming out of college. So offensively is where he becomes special. This guy shoots like I think 42% from the 3-point line. This guy's ridiculous shot creating for himself. This guy is really good at, dribble, crossover, get my shot off. He can run off of screens. 6'10" can run off of screens. Has a really good mid-range game. Really good fade away. He's really good at just shooting over people. It's very much the fundamentals of a Kevin Durant, where Kevin Durant, one dribble pull up, two dribble pull up, come up with the baseline pull up. You know what I mean? Face somebody up. I've even seen him do the rip through, where he rips through defenders to try to catch the foul call. Like, he has a very good basketball IQ of scoring the basketball. And he's gifted from the 3-point line. I mean, this guy could shoot the lights out of the basketball. There's just so many his versatility is going to be scary because he's 6'10". So if you want to run a pick and roll with him as the roll man, you can do it. He can be a lob threat. Sure. And if you want to run a pick and pop, sure, fine with me. But where he becomes special and different is when he gets on the wing and he creates for himself. Because the one thing he's always going to have is 6'10". People, when they hear the word 6'10", and this draft is a great example of it, they'll think post guy. This guy can't post very well. You never want this guy in the post. Never, ever, ever, ever. And he's not really that kind of guy where he's going to be posting a lot. And his gifts are, mid-post, mid-range, 3-point shooting, shot creating for himself, his ability to just create him for himself. And the reason why he's the number one prospect is 6'10" with his athletic gifts and shot creation ability is a formula we've seen multiple all-stars. Think of Jason Tatum. His ability to get to the rim, his ability to finish with athleticism, his ability to shot create for himself, his fundamentals and footwork. This is a guy like that. Think of Brandon Ingram, 6'9", can shoot over everybody no matter what at any moment in time. He can create his own shot. He can get to the rim. Lanky, right? He's Kevin Durant's height. You know what I mean? Like, that's special in the ability of the way he shoots. And he's just so athletically gifted. All he's got to do, the weaknesses is he has to tighten up the handle a little bit. His handle's at like 90% capacity of how perfect it could be. If he tightens up the handle a little bit, it's not going to be that hard. This guy becomes an all-star. This guy, my pro player comparison, I've definitely thought a lot about this, is Paul George. Paul George. It's taller version of him, but less athletic. The reason why is shot creation. I've seen Paul George run off-ball screens where he's coming off ball when they have Kawhi Leonard and they need to get him the ball sometimes. Jabari Smith can do that. I've seen Paul George have great fundamentals and great footwork and shot create for himself. He can do that. He's got a great mid-range game. He scores from every level of the floor. You're getting a 3-layer scorer, 6'10" body who's going to change you defensively because 6'10" it switches, right? And he's going to height. Why is Dirk so amazing? Can shoot over everybody. 7 foot. Why is KD so amazing? Nobody can challenge his shot. 6'10" is what Jabari Smith is. He didn't go to the combine because top tier guys usually don't, so I don't know his wingspan. If I had to guess, I'd guess 7'1", 7'2" wingspan. It's just the special things about him is rare because just like Paul George, he's going to do it in the defensive end in a special way. So you're getting a two-way guy that can be really elite and be a high-tier all-star in the NBA. And I really feel like this is a number one guy in the draft this year. This guy's just special. It's rare to have the height, the athleticism, and the shot creation with defending. I mean, it's about as perfect of a prospect as a person can be. So that's Jabari Smith.
Wow. So I guess my one question would be, is what team do you think he would be best fitted?
I personally would choose him with the number one pick for Orlando Magic. I think he fit really well there. Yeah, I would trade Jonathan Isaac. The reason why, man, is they need a top-tier guy that can be a top-tier bucket getter. And you can't look at that team and tell me anybody that can probably average more than 25 points per game in the future. A guy like this is special. And, when you have Jalen Suggs and Mo Bamba, you kind of need another piece that can defend. And now you have a complete team. A team that can do it on both ends, and he fits into that. And Franz Wagner's a really great passer as well, so they can do a lot of creative things with him on ball and him off ball. And he's just, he's one of those guys that can fit on every single team because, he has the skill of a 2 guard. He's just 6'10". So if you have, you want to put him at small forward, you can put him at small forward. He can guard. Even if you wanted, I wouldn't put him at 2 guard, but he could guard 2 guards. You know what I mean? He can guard 1 through 4, actually 1 through 5, unless 5's Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid, where they're just huge. But guys like Clint Capella, yeah, he could guard those guys. I think people, people have an old when people hear power forward, they have this mental image of a power forward, and he's just not that guy. He's just not that post guy. But he's special, special.